Hi guys, and welcome to All About the Philippines. Now, today we're going to talk about the big age gap in relationship and the scam that just went down in the Philippines on the Raffy Tulfo in Action YouTube channel. Now, if you haven't seen the Raffy Tulfo show on YouTube, then I suggest you go and check it out. I'll put a link below so you can go and have a look at the good work that he really does. He chases up a lot of people who are scammers and who have been ripping people off, whether it's foreigners or Filipinos. Now, recently he did a two-part show on a 71-year-old man by the name of William Brown from Canada who married a young 20-year-old Filipina by the name of Kathleen Brown from Dumaguete in the Philippines. Now, this relationship didn't last too long, and he went to the show crying that she had left him on their wedding night. So they went back to the motel. She took off and didn't come back. And it turns out that she's actually gone and run off with her lesbian lover. But anyway, before we get into all that, let's go and have a look at a video that I did about a month ago, which was called Will Your Age Gap Relationship Succeed Long Term? And this is exactly what I was talking about. Now, I've heard about this many times before, and this Raffy Tulfo show really highlights the problem that's still going on with these older guys, lonely old guys, who are looking for a young Filipina for whatever reason. And this is the sort of trouble they can get themselves into. And it's rather sad, but one has to ask the question, who is actually to blame in all this? So let's have a look at parts of the video. I've edited it down from my video I did a month ago. So have a look at what I've said there, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about what I make of this William Brown situation afterwards. Now, today I'm going to give you my thoughts about age gaps in relationships with a Filipina, and in particular, can an age gap relationship succeed long term? So firstly, you're going to need to have a look at yourself and be sure you know what you're in for when you're going to look for a partner that's much younger than you. And does your want for a much younger woman come from building your own ego or building your self-confidence? Do you want a pretty young Filipina just as a trophy wife, just to put her on display to everybody? Then once you've had a good look at yourself, you're going to need to have a good look at your Filipina and wonder why she wants a man maybe 30 or 40 years older than what she is. Are her intentions genuine and honest? And have you even asked her why she wants to be with a man who maybe is 30, 40 years older than her and could possibly even be her grandfather? And if so, do you actually believe her answer? Now, the danger in this is that a young Filipina, say 20-year-old Filipina, might marry a man in his 60s or 70s. This man may be looking for love, companionship, a wife to do things for him, and he can believe easily this Filipina loves him for who he is and no other reason than that. Now, sure, this Filipina, she may grow fond of the man over time, but will she ever love him truly? Well, I say probably not to that. Now, there's many stories you've heard about a beautiful young Filipina marries a man that's much older than her, maybe in his 60s or 70s. So over a period of time of having these feelings, she gives into those feelings, and she starts to think to herself, well, gee, I need happiness in my life, true happiness and true love in my life. So why not take the risk and go with this younger man who I'm so much more compatible with? Now she does that, and of course the old man now sees her as a scammer or a gold digger. But here's the reality of the situation. The old man, he dead set, he should have been much more careful and not so blindly naive and used more of his common sense from his life's experience than to realize that this 20-year-old could actually be genuinely in love with him, want to marry him for himself, and to realise that something like this was bound to happen at some point. So, as I say, did this man ever consider that this woman could actually love a man who's 30 or 40 years older than he is? And, did he ever really look at the life that she had? And if he examined both those questions carefully, he would have seen that the reality or the truth of the situation. So don't blame the Filipina, because such a big age gap, especially in a Western country, is bound to end in heartache at some point for a large percentage of people who are in such a relationship. So what I said in that video, and as I say, that was a edited version. I've edited it down. If you want to see the whole video, then I've got the link below in the description. But that was pretty much what has happened here in the Raffy Tulfo videos. Now, again, if you want to go and check out the Raffy Tulfo videos, if you haven't seen them all, then I suggest pop over there. I'll put the links below to each video and check those out. They're about 20 minutes each in length, but they're really worth looking at. Now, I'll give you my abbreviated version of what happened in this William Brown scamming case. Well, he claims to be scammed. I'm not so sure on that. What happened was that this man had been talking to this girl online. She had lied to him about her age. She'd lied to him about many other things, that she said she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke. She was in Japan working, and she told him when she was 17 that she was actually in her 20s, mid-20s. So there's a lot of lies from the get-go. Now, he ended up going over there earlier this year in 2019, and they got married in March of 2019. Now, apparently, as it turns out, that she was in a lesbian relationship prior to this meeting this Mr. Brown and marrying this Mr. Brown. And according to Kathleen, her mother had pushed her into marrying this 71-year-old man for whatever reasons, which the mother and Mr. Brown both deny was the case. Mr. Brown will tell you that Kathleen had wanted to come to live with him in Canada and all these sorts of things, and he was giving her money. So he had claims that in the time he was with her, he'd given her over 1 million pesos for various things, for bills, clothes, including their wedding, all sorts of stuff. And it seems to me like Mr. Brown thought he could possibly buy a young Filipina. Now, the story goes on, and Mr. Brown, turns out that he'd been married for 52 years before his wife passed away. Now, he didn't say when she passed away, but I get the feeling it was fairly recently. And then he's wondering, he's probably feeling lost and wondering, what is he going to do now? Which is very understandable after you've been with somebody 52 years and all of a sudden they've died and now you're alone. So I feel for Mr. Brown in that sense, but this is, it's really typical of what can happen with old vulnerable men and young Filipinas. Now, when you watch that video on the Raffy Tulfo show of this, it blows my mind a bit, because he's there talking about what a scammer she is, and that she's immature, and she's a liar, and she's done this and that, and taking him for over 1 million pesos. Yet he still wants to take her back to Canada. He's still asking her to go back to Canada with him, and she ends up turning him down, saying, "No, I'm not going to go back. I want to stay in this lesbian relationship that I'm happy in, that I've always wanted to be in." And Mr. Brown there towards the end, he's getting upset and he's crying, and it is rather quite sad. Now, my view on this is that this is Mr. Brown is at fault. Yes, the girl might have taken him for a bit of a ride and not really thought about Mr. Brown's feelings and emotions and all that sort of stuff. But Mr. Brown, being the 71-year-old man that he is, with life's full of experience and knowledge, should have been protecting himself and not put himself into this situation. So for me, he is the one to blame here. Stop blaming this girl. She's young, immature, and that's what happens when you play around with a young girl. He wanted the advantages of whatever he was doing with that young girl, and he probably got some of that. But let's be realistic. This is squarely on Mr. Brown himself. For Mr. Brown to come on Raffy Tulfo's show and play the victim, to me, is really out of line and not fair. You know, everybody knows that young Filipinas in the Philippines, they are immature and they will be looking to get some money, as a lot of people in those countries will be doing. So this one's on Mr. Brown as far as I'm concerned. So tell me what your viewpoint on this is. Put your comments below. I'd like to hear what you think about all this. And of course, share this video around with anyone who may enjoy it in all your networks. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to get more videos. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Appreciate your support. Take care and bye for now.